Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad that you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We're very pleased to have on with us Jeffrey Morrell, known as the man with hands of light, who is here from Australia and formerly, before that, New Zealand, where he was for many, many years, actually even decades, a farmer, using his hands in another way, close to the soil, close to the earth. And over time, after having a full life in farming and even politics, found they had this extraordinary gift of being able to feel and sense people's health and ill health through his hands. And that opened up an entire new chapter of his life. And for the past many years, he has been traveling all around the world, really, South America, North America, all over Australia, New Zealand, and elsewhere, working with people on a donation basis, actually, helping to heal them and facilitating, I should say, life-changing events for them. And so we're very pleased to have him on. As you know, we like having people on who are involved in the transformation of the body, mind, and soul. And here today we have someone who is working on all three levels, a true holistic practitioner, who I would like to also say came to New York at the invitation of the New Life Expo, Mark Becker. So it is through the New Life Expo that we had a chance to bring Jeffrey onto the show. Without further ado, I want to welcome you to the show.
Greetings.
Great to have you.
Very pleased to be here, Mitchell.
Good.
Lovely to be here.
Wonderful. It's been a pleasure to really have you around for the last period of time, and I've gotten a chance to get to know you a little bit and get a sense of your healing work. Let me also say that Jeffrey is the author of this precious little book called The Healer, which he will be speaking from a bit this evening as he describes some of the nature of his work. So Jeffrey, just tell us a little bit, how is it that you discovered inside your own body this gift that you've been expressing here in New York and elsewhere?
Well, the tale goes back many years, and when I had a visitor to my farm who said to me, "Would you like to know how many children you're going to have?" And he said, "Have you had a cork, a needle, and a bit of thread?" You see? And so this is what he said: put it across your hand, and you see, that's my first daughter, that's my second daughter, that's my third daughter, that's my son, and then of course this is my fourth daughter.
Wow.
Right.
So daughters are counterclockwise and sons go like that.
But the important thing is what happens after that, you see? It's supposed to stay perfectly still. Perfectly still.
Oh, meaning no more children.
Right. So from there, it started from that basis, and it's always shown that. But having an inquiring mind, I wanted to know what else I could use it for. So in the case of some foods, I decided, do I use this type of pendulum? And there are many, of course. If you look at some of the other types, and the more professional kinds, like this, whether made of rosewood.
A radionic pendulum.
Oh yes, that's right, which can swing like anything. And just so happens for this one, I swing it and anti-clockwise and still crosswise like that for negative. Everything is a negative and a positive.
Do you have the same number of children with that one?
Yeah, yes, very good point, very good point. Anyway, but from a point of flatulence, I was wondering why, in many years
Just
ago,
what I was about to bring up.
Yes, why, many years ago, that why should this flatulence be about, you see? So I tested and I found that the bananas from Fiji, no good. And bananas from Ecuador were fine. So we cut out one.
So you went to Ecuador?
No, the bananas were shipped into New Zealand.
Much easier.
The same with the peanut butter, which came from Australia. And they created the same sort of problem.
Oh, I see.
But we eradicated it. But you see, again, the inquiring mind goes on, and so you use the various sorts of dividing rods there are. And then finally, I saw a man finding water, and he put his hands out and he
Dowsing.
dowsing with his hands. And just about at the same time, I was invited to a house meeting where a man was working on a person similar as I do, and he was like scooping away the air parts, or where the vibration was on this particular person. And the next day, or 2 days later rather, I happened to be visiting a friend who'd had chemotherapy, and this chap's wife said, "Please help yourself." So I did what I saw being done a few nights beforehand, and I used my hands. I got into a sweat, but it took away her nausea. But the thing is, on that particular night, while I was watching all this, my hands were not with me. My hands actually were up on the table with the operator.
Ah.
And that led me into this whole scheme of things. And then as the years have gone by, instead of just using your hands to scoop things away, you found that when you're looking at somebody, you can actually finally look through the third eye and you can pinpoint where problems are on people. But to be sure, you run your hands up over up over their legs, and you can pinpoint the place. And whilst
A place of
where there's a disharmony.
a disharmony.
Yes.
Now, are you experiencing it as a temperature shift?
No, no,
what?
not really.
Okay.
It seems to me that the tips of my fingers are like an antenna, and there's a little video runs across my third eye, and so I go across wherever it is on the body, and you're asking the same question of the body. Now, is there any problems we'll take it as Mitchell's knees and so on, any problem in his heart, you see? Yes, and you can have a broken
Not
heart.
on Valentine's Day.
A broken heart's the only one I wouldn't, but if there's other problem, I could do, you see. And when I say I'm not meaning I, myself, I'm
Yes.
just the instrument in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now the thing is, whilst in India recently, I was invited to a cancer conference there to give a dissertation, and finally
Among doctors, correct?
Oh yes, all doctors there.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and some very qualified doctors.
Yeah.
And Dr.
It was they who invited you in the first place.
That's
Is
true.
that so? Yeah.
Yes, and Dr. Kulkarni was in one of the introductions to a later meeting. Was saying the thing is really is quite amazing, because there's about a 90% diagnosis by simply running the hands over there. In fact, in a further introduction to a meeting of Rotarians.
You mean 90% accuracy?
That's right.
So in other words,
where problems are.
just to translate from New Zealand into English,
Yes.
American English, they had rendered certain diagnoses for a series of patients.
Yes.
Then they asked you to also diagnose, not through instrumentation except for your hands.
That's right.
And
Totally.
you came up with a 9 out of 10 accuracy.
That's what it appears to be, yes. And in one instance, they happened to have had the X-rays had just arrived over a man, and when I happened to run across, and I've found something in his head, you see, and so I worked upon that particular area, just where it was shown
Indicated in the X-ray.
on X-rays.
Right,
yes,
right,
indeed.
exactly.
But the
Wonderful,
interesting thing is
wonderful.
that where
This is nice, Jeffrey, because this is, I don't need to be convinced of the efficacy of hands-on healing. However, there are many who do. And providing that kind of external verification of diagnostic abilities such as this, because most people don't understand that the nervous system is an antenna.
Oh, yes.
And it is always picking up information, most of which, of course, we delete from consciousness before it ever becomes conscious. But there are those people like yourself who have managed to open up to the nervous system as an antenna and pay attention to and express what it is you're picking up.
That's right. Well,
Powerful, very powerful.
How I see it, it's like an intuitiveness. Really, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned about these types of pendulums, and for some people they may only be able to use the divining rod, but that is a start. But I refer to as being crutches, because you can use your hands.
Right, so you don't really need the externals,
No,
fun as they may be.
not in my mind.
For instance,
Yes. This one
Could you describe?
I believe that all healers should acquaint themselves with all sorts of healing methods and also learn something about anatomy. I really mean that. Learn something about anatomy.
And physiology.
True. And so that you can have a certificate on the wall which entitles you to touch somebody. But in this case, I did a course with Dr. Oberbach from Germany, and this was what they call a theotensor, and that gives me a yes, you see.
Mm-hmm.
If I ask for it to no, it goes like a no like that.
Now you're making that happen, right?
No, I'm not.
You're just requesting.
When I turn that over, see, becomes the female side of it. And I ask for a yes for there, and there it goes.
Oh.
You see?
The opposite of the other.
That's right. And of course, you turn it back again, and it goes up and down. Right? Now, one could go to great lengths and talk about the theotester, but it comes back to using your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you may say, what has occurred over the years? Now,
I may. Yes, I think I will.
It has been a progression. For instance, when I first started, not knowing really what to do, because, in any time when a person is becoming a professional in a particular field,
yes,
he's a newcomer, new boy. And I used to see a Chinese man with 2 pigtails in my mind's eye, and he used to tell me to do this and do that. And then later on, after a few years, he was eclipsed. And then 3 people came into my third eye for me to see. And one was like a lady with long blonde hair with a garb of ancient Greece. And she used to tell me things. But there were 3 of them. And the other one was Sai Baba, somebody like Sai Baba as we know. And the third one was one as we know as Jesus. See? Now they were with me for about several years. And finally I was told from upstairs, as I referred to it as, that they were no longer needed. But I do suggest to people that they are still ever present.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I will remember that on occasion that I was working on somebody in the Midwest and they were going to have a heart-lung transplant. You see? And on that occasion, I saw it was very serious, and the one that we know as Jesus happened to be telling me what to do. Instead of working from the front, I was told to turn the person over, and I worked on them. And did quite a bit of work there for about 3/4 of an hour. Now, I didn't see that person for 12 months. I didn't see them again, I should say, but I rang telephone 12 months later, and they couldn't figure out why she was still alive, because she still had not had her heart-lung transplant. Interesting. Wow. It was interesting. Yeah. There's lots of cases that one can relate.
You have worked with cancer in a number of instances, is that so?
I'm going to use the words like this in italics.
Please.
Yes, because that's just part of the whole body.
Yes, indeed.
Do you understand?
I do. I appreciate that.
Very strict on that one.
Thank you.
That's right, yes. So you're dealing with the whole body, and there is a disharmony in various places like that. But I have found that in some instances I will meditate on the person before they come to see me. And one particular case, as I recall in Australia, the chap asked me to see his mother. So I meditated on her. I knew her name and date of birth, and that was all. And then what I saw in my mind's eye is exactly what I found when she actually came to see me. I ran my hands over her. Now I have in my possession the X-rays following what happened after this. She went back to the hospital, had another X-ray. The radiologist got in a big huddle and said, "Where have you been? Where have you been?" And she said, "I went to see a psychic healer. What's his name?" And fortunately, I feel, she said, "It's Jeff," but didn't know anything more. But the thing was, that second X-ray showed that the thing had
disappeared.
Yeah, receded. Yeah. So you feel very gratified over this, particularly when she rang me 3 months later and she said, "I'm sure you'd like these X-rays." So she wrote a dissertation about it.
How would you explain, Jeffrey, in your own words, what it is that's actually happening when you are working? You're working on the etheric body?
Yes, that's
First
right.
of all?
Yes, right.
How would you describe what it is that is happening?
I think there's an energy that comes through from the end of my fingers, and some clairvoyants will look at my hands and say, this one on my right hand gives off a red energy, and the other one gives off a blue energy. So this one's a sender and this is a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Now when I'm first going across the body, I like to check out to see what their etheric aura is right. And if they have a negative aura, then I scoop it away, just like compacting it, and discard it. Now some will say, what happens to it? Now clairvoyants will tell you that the real ones, you can say, in my case, it just goes pop and disappears, you see. However, after having cleared the body like this, then I'll go across next time and double check to see where all the imperfect places are. And it's amazing. People will say, ouch, I did not know that was sore there. And if I'm going across, and remember, I might be mentioning different organs on the body, from the toes right through. And a good example is, in fact, the sole of the foot, where you run your fingers over there and pick up that vibration. Yes, you'll pick up that vibration and you push them in that part of the sole of the foot. And they'll say, ouch. And they said, is that reflexology? Well, I said, yes, it is in a sense, but I'm picking it up without going all across your foot. See, so you work upon it, because sometimes they get a spur there on foot. And then you go over the rest of the place. Now, as I see it in my mind's eye, and it's as clear as if I'm in a surgery with the big lights, and so there's that's my cutting finger.
Scalpel.
Yes, that's my cutting finger, or my, what you would call a laser. See? So when if I have a need to go into the abdominal area or the reproductive area or something, I will make an incision down through there after more or less clearing things away, and then I'll part it, and then I'll make the second incision and go inside. Now those who are sensitive are able to feel this all taking place, and if I'm actually taking something out, they can feel it being pulled out. Sometimes it feels like a string of sausages being pulled out, but I mustn't leave it there, because you see
those are my intestines. Give those back.
Yes. And it's all very serious in a sense.
Yeah.
It is really, but you cannot leave it just like that. So of course I seal it up again, put my hand over, and in doing that, they can feel the heat from the inside of the palm, but really it is their body doing its own healing. That's the important thing. It's their body doing its own healing. Now, I use, in conjunction with all this, Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Body.
Now, do you, if I may just ask you, when you see that in your mind's eye as clearly as when the lights are on in an operating room,
yes,
do you see the physical skin opening, or are you working purely on an etheric level?
At times it almost seems like the physical whole thing, as though you're in an operating theatre. You really do.
Okay.
And you can,
although you're operating etherically, the image in your third eye is virtually physical.
True.
Is that so?
That's right.
Okay.
And sometimes I know that if I've...
so you're seeing inside the body?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I know that everybody is able to do all this.
Oh, yeah.
But it starts in the heart. If you have a feeling for somebody else, that's the time to use your attention and your energies towards somebody. Even if it's a case of putting your hands on their shoulders, always ask them first. Now, with regard to healers, always make sure the person is receptive. I will not work on anybody unless they are receptive.
And certainly willing.
Oh, most certainly. But as I said in my book there, many men, and they're skeptics, they really are, and they're vain at times too. They'll say, well, Jeff, I don't believe a thing that you tell me. I don't believe a thing you tell me. But somehow or another, I feel better. That's the interesting thing about it.
That's the general statement.
Yes, that's right. And when a person has been, and I usually use a massage table, when they come off the table, there is a tendency to feel as though they're walking on a cushion of air. And they may feel a little lightheaded.
Yes.
And certainly would want to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. victims.
Mm-hmm. How do you understand the times, Jeffrey, that extra 10%, that if we were to just take what the doctors in India suggested, that you were getting 9 out of 10 accuracy, how would you account in your understanding for the 10% that is not accurate? Give or take.
That I cannot understand really, but I myself must believe. I must believe what I'm told. You see, and if I'm going across the liver, for instance, and I find there's a disharmony there, I must believe it.
Indeed.
You don't have to believe it.
Indeed. But if you step out of that, I understand the mechanism involved in your having faith in what you're reading. But to step out to see what medical diagnosis has to say. In fact, they don't know that you're inaccurate. What they really know is that your diagnosis isn't necessarily matching up with their diagnosis. It could be that what you're seeing is nascent. It's at the very beginning, that it maybe hasn't even broken into physical form yet.
Very true.
That's
true. But this is where the mind comes into play. When I mentioned about Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Body, and her various lots of affirmations, then I can take or suggest if a particular organ is out of functioning, in a sense, and I can say, now this may be the way you're thinking has brought all this on.
Indeed.
I can use an instance, if I could, that I was worked on a lady in the Oklahoma area, a few years ago when I was happened to be visiting here, and she was really, I thought, very sick. Now I asked her to, perhaps she better come and see me again. Now when she came back the second time, and this is where I hesitate to use the words big C, but she thought that because her father died of the big C, of colon cancer, that
she too.
She was too. Now that's 7 or 8 years ago. She's a totally different lady now. But I'm sure that we draw things to us. I'm sure we do.
Well, if we only understood better about how the mind interacts with the body and is actually one with the body, it wouldn't seem so mysterious as to what the interfacing really is and the way the mind is influencing the body virtually constantly to a greater or lesser extent.
Well, if we look at healing on the broader scale, if the healer comes in and works on a person and makes them better through the energies that they have, then it's behoven on the recipient to do something about either their way of thinking or the environment that they're living in.
Or both.
Yes, because that's true. That is true. And because it's like teaching a man to fish and he'll look after himself.
That's right.
So you've shown him the road to take, and he really should not come back to the healer time and time and time and time again, which some people do inevitably do.
So you teach people how to grow these gifts, these facilities inside oneself?
My greatest love is to doing this work. It really is. And I came to America, and if I can show people what they can do to help others, I feel really satisfied.
Are there, I gather that. Yes. Are there particular instructions you could possibly convey to us all right now that would at least begin to guide us in that direction? Based on your many decades of experience?
Yes. If you have a feeling,
he's really 112.
Yes. If you have a feeling to want to help somebody, do not hesitate. Do not hesitate. Try to use your energies and ask for those energies to be directed to help you. And always be prepared to say thank you afterwards. I always say thank you, God. Incidentally, when I'm in India, I had to say thank you, Krishna. And because everybody is God's child, it doesn't matter to which one it is, you see.
Right. So which name of God we use.
That's right. But if it's comfortable for people simply to put their hands on them, that's fine. Now, I don't want to be seen as any form of guru or something, but people have told me that when they've had a sore limb or a sore point in their body, they've gone to bed and they've put their hand on that part, that's their hand, and they said, that's Jeff's hand. Now, that's not meant to say, to elevate me to the stage
Right.
of anything, no, far from it. Because two things we need to do: throw the word hate out the dictionary, throw it right out. And the other one is throw ego right out. So that you're just an ordinary person using those talents which are come to you.
Well, they're God-given and they're nature-given,
Oh, yes,
if there's a difference between those.
Yes.
You know, people just don't stop to think that when someone cuts him or herself, we don't do a thing, not a bloody thing. And before you know it, the blood has coagulated and the cut is getting healed.
Yes.
Now, who did that?
Well,
Who did that? We, the creator, nature, did that.
well, of course, if it really didn't stop bleeding, you can put some cayenne pepper on, and that'll soon make it.
And where did cayenne come from? You know, I mean, wherever you go, the final referent remains God or nature or what have you.
Yes.
So it seems more that when people evoke your name, in the instance you just gave, Jeffrey, of saying that's Jeff's hands,
Yes.
what they are in a sense doing is evoking the energy field and the good feeling they have associated with you to their hand, and putting that hand there by process of association, invoking that healing power.
That's right. Well, just one quick little thing
Right,
I can say.
it's beautiful, really.
By the use of a photograph, I can do the self-same thing. Or I can use somebody as a surrogate, so that it's, or the full name and date of birth, so you can identify a person. And I can instance cases of what has happened in one part of the country as against another part, and so on. So it's marvellous to see that happening.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That's fantastic. It's really been a pleasure. Time passes so quickly when you're having a good time. You know, it really does. But I'm going to get explicit with our audience, if you don't mind.
Yes.
You know, Jeffrey has been speaking to us very bluntly and candidly about a gift he has, a power that he has also helped to cultivate inside himself, of reading balances and imbalances in the human energy field with his fingers, in conjunction with his third eye, and his entire being is reading. And he is now exemplifying for many people, really across the world, this ability of developing our own abilities, our own nervous system, if you will, our own chakra and energetic ability to do the same thing. We're all capable of doing it. Some people have developed this level of clairvoyance and ability greater than others. But just because he's developed it and speaking quite openly and candidly about what seems to be quite extraordinary, just doesn't mean that you shouldn't see that you too have every single ability, just as does Jeffrey. I mean, after all, he was a dairy farmer, you know, milking cows. You know, who would have thought that that would be utterly preparation for this? I mean, you know, if you projected yourself back.
Yes. Many farmers actually turn out to be very good healers.
You know, it actually is a very good preparation. Let's give your number out, so
yes.
if people want to get in touch with you, they may. In the United States, you can call 619-401-9955. That's 619-401-9955. That's out in California. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Mitchell J. Rabin for A Better World. Give me a call at 212-420-0800. I love hearing from you, and look forward to seeing you all next week.
Cheerio, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks so much.